And the upside-down telescope next to it is Nelson's monument in Edinburgh, in memory of Admiral Lord Nelson, who defeated the French at the Battle of Trafalgar in 1805. Admiral Lord Nelson did not like to be called Horatio. He liked to be called Horace, and he suffered from seasickness. This is not good news if you're a sailor. Very worried about his height and his complexion. So he had a mirror made for himself. It made him look taller and had it tinted so he had a better complexion. How's that for vanity? Yes. On the other hand, I could get a mirror made for myself. It is really summer. So all right, let's go for that. Look at this building on your right-hand side. This is, or was, our General Post Office in Edinburgh. But it's built on the site of Shakespeare Square and Old Peter Royal in the 18th century. And in England, in the 18th century, there was this very famous actress called Mrs. Sarah Siddons. And whenever she went to England, the crowds followed her. So she arrived here to Peter Royal. And see what the custom was. The minute she arrived at stage, everybody applauds. So she arrives at stage at Peter Royal, no applause, nothing. She does her first act, no applause, nothing. She does her second act, no applause, nothing. Oh, she's off the stage, she's jumping mad, and she said, right, if nobody applauds at the end of my third act, I will never ever set foot off the river Tweed again. That is it. Stamp her foot on the stage she goes and gives it everything she's got for her third and final act. And when it finishes, no applause, nothing. The stage's out of ears by this time, and she's staring at the silent crowd when out of the crowd a little Scots voice shouts, aye, that's no bad. That's as much as you get in Scotland if you're doing very well on stage. Rapturous applause after that came out many times, but it was touch and go, it was touch and go. Time, space, earthquakes, volcanoes, rainforests. 4,500 million years BC one day, and if you buy your ticket on the bus from our conductor, you will get it cheaper. It will cost you on the bus £7.50 for an adult, £5 for a child. If it's in dynamic air, if you're going to buy your ticket, it's £8.95 and it's £6. So buy your ticket on the bus. Opens Wednesday to Sunday, doesn't open on the Monday, Tuesday through the winter months. Opens at 10 o'clock in the morning, and the last entry in the afternoon is 10 minutes to 4. You've also got to remember that your last bus in the day. So panicking up from the sun, it's a big shove in the bang, and the lift comes to a halt, and he's gone back in time to the land of the dinosaurs, and then from there you work your way up through time to the present day. Could anyone take a look? Well, if you're coming back, you drop me off at the foot of the steps, and that's when we pick you back up again. So you've not got to sort of wander about in the streets. And this was our Millennium Project. Our dynamic Earth has two very friendly baby dinosaurs. They come out, they wave to you, they dance, and they wobble their tail. And they are known to come on the bus. So don't you worry, if you're sitting upstairs in this bus and a dinosaur comes and sits beside you. They have a job getting up with their big feet and their wobbly tails, but once they're up, they're up. Well, they don't have any transport in their base, so they enjoy using ours. And they're house trained. They're all right. And then here, this little part here on your right-hand side, this is what you can do to save the planet. You know, what kind of fuel you put. And it houses their personal collection. The one at the moment, Rubel to Rubens. Wonderful Flemish painting. You could buy a joint ticket for the Palace and the Gallery, or you can do them separately if it's convenient. But we're into the Royal Mile now, ladies and gentlemen. This is your oldest street in Edinburgh. So called because of Edinburgh Castle at one end and Holyrood Palace at the other end. The Royal Mile is made up of 5 separate sections. At the very, very top, you have Castle Hill, where you have Edinburgh Castle. Then you have the Lawn Market, where you buy your linen, your materials, your fruit, your veg, your butter and your cheese. That's to stop the let you off for Edinburgh Castle. Then you have the High Street. Then you have the part we're in now, which is the Cannon Gate. And last but not least, right down beside the palace is Abbey Strand. So you've got 5 separate sections to make up your Royal Mile. And in this part, the Cannon Gate, you've got 2 museums to look at. The one on the left-hand side we'll see in a few moments is the Museum of Edinburgh, and it incorporates Huntley House Museum. It dates back to 1570. It's known as the Speaking House because it has Latin tablets on the outside on the wall. And one says, today for you, tomorrow for me, why worry? Another one says, as you're master of your ears, I am master of my tongue. And the last one says, it is hope of another one. In there, it's got a fantastic silver foil, ceramics and pottery, and has the original statue called the Drinking Bowl, lots of photograph information about the little doll, Mayfire's body, and I'll tell you about who was around in the field. So here's the Museum of Edinburgh on your left-hand side. And across the road here, on your right, the building with the clock in it, the People's Story Museum, about the life and times of people of Edinburgh over the last 200 years, open Monday to Saturday, 10 o'clock to 5 minutes flat. All our museums in Edinburgh are free of charge. They're recommended for you. You don't say what they mean if you don't want them. And you've seen a photograph in there many of the time because I worked in the museum. And if you look at it, you know that you can a lot of weight. I'll pull you off my back because that was quite useful. But I'm still there, on the wall. Coming up here, under the at the arcading just further up here on the left-hand side, there's a red terracotta building, and it was the first hotel in Edinburgh in 1779, known as the George Hotel. You just look for somebody there, the red terracotta at the time. We had lots of taverns, lots of inns, but not a proper hotel. So someone said this evening, I'm taking you to the George Hotel for dinner. Make sure it's the one in George Street, the 18th century one, and not this one down here, because I don't think these people down here would be very happy if you sat down at a table unannounced. Okay? In Edinburgh at one time we had 6 gates in the city, which we opened in the morning and closed in the evening to keep us in and the English out. But we didn't quite look after this week. We thought our next door neighbour who just happened to be English, just to make sure it was on the right side of the gate. And the gates in the city of Edinburgh were very ornate, and they served 2 purposes. One, as you see in a few moments' time, was completed. It took 46 years to complete it, because we as a nation had been wiped out by the English. The Battle of Flodden started at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It finished at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And in 1 hour, the Scots had lost 10,000 soldiers, 50 noblemen, 50 knights, and 10. We were literally wiped out. Every family had lost a father, son, brother, and cousin. But this wall had to be completed in case the English attacked. You'll see the flower bed, and it's the first part of the wall before it starts going up the steps and stairs. It's the very first part of the wall. And we'll come down into the Cowgate, which is one of the oldest streets in Edinburgh. And the Cowgate is where the cows were driven through to graze at the Burren Road. But here we are. Lovely wall coming up. But if we've got time traps, I'll show you a wall that you built. That's a good sound, of course.
Yeah.
Oh, that man just got playing.
Sorry. Yeah.
Did I mention this wall at all? It's lovely. Very nice. You know what?
Oh, yeah.
This is where we multitask, you know. But you're right. This is a church here. This is St. Patrick's Church. Dates back to 1771. Originally it was the Victorian Church. The priest from this church had a photograph in a local newspaper about a couple of months ago. I was holding up a photograph of a cat called Ed. The cat is a long-bearded, grey and white cat with a got to the church. It was the mass, it was the wedding, it was the funeral, it was the ceremony. Well, I went, this is the week, look at the time, all the people were right sick. So the priest thought, I'm going to put in the paper, see how we made this lady. So all my paper 2 minutes later, I met a photograph of the priest with me. The top ceremony, the top night, he just told that there was home one night to the other end of town, stayed for 3 weeks, thoroughly enjoyed himself. And of course she brought him back. The priest said, had he gone missing for 3 weeks, nobody would have known it, but I thought it was a cat. And I read in my bus, she said, oh, that's my church. Fred was at a wedding day the other day. He just walked into the church, jumped up onto the altar, walked right along the altar. It was cut up, and all the entrails were thrown into the middle of the street. It was a dirty, stinking disease. It's very unhappy. You're not going to believe this, but his name was Jack High. That's a wonderful name for a hangman. Hang the pies. And this is at the time of how you not believe that this was the second most fashionable street in Edinburgh. Princes had been tired of it. They really did that out under the houses, gardens and orchards. And the Countess Gallery had a coach and 6 horses. And wherever she went in Edinburgh, she went in her 6 and 6 horses. Even if the visiting the next door neighbours in yard room. And instead of trying to get into the coach, the lead horses at the next door's house before she really left the home. But the tenants would be the 10 yards down the little. So we're coming out of the Cowgate, and we're going to come into the grass market. So those outside with your cameras, get facing the other way, because you're showing a nice photograph of the castle coming into view now. Look, here we are. This way, come on. You see the castle? Here we are.
Here we are, here we go.
So this is the grass market. This is the second oldest street in Edinburgh. And from 1477 to 1911, this is where they did the savings and the teeth of the St. Patrick. And it's also the execution street. And at one time they were executed by a double-handed sword, and they got so blunt with all the use that they had to devise a new system. And the instrument he invented was called the maiden, which was the forerunner of the guillotine. So called the maiden because the gentleman used to use the same one. Can you just sit down?